So I thought I'd start with some poetry because all my work is inspired by my poetry, and these first two poems actually relate directly to the frock. So the first one is Stitching Sorrow into Flesh. Heartstrings laced skin tight, a gathering of purple-clad sighs materialise, consequences of a life's mysteries dart recklessly in. Ruffled seams knotty with ambiguities cast themselves adrift beneath the skin. Feelings warp, mutate into a mantle of sorrow. Cloaked in bandages of restraint, flesh calcifies, losing its breath. And the second one, on wearing white frocks in the autumn. Sheltered by the delicate dressings of my white frocks, I embrace my sexagenarian spirit, formless monochromatic creations sewn by my hand, fashioned against remnants of colonialism, inherited legacies in the cutting board of shape-shifting. Makeovers that mark my tragedy, my generation, sexuality and age as autumn woman, a legion of white-on-white dresses that traverse my emotional landscapes of watershed moments, gowns that represent the outer wrappings of my intellect, conveying an unspoken understanding that my journey into the season of my knowing brings clarity and a departure from what has gone before. So, yes, this work is autobiographical. Most of my work is about my writing and my stitching is about the ageing process, how I feel as I'm getting into my mature years, and the loss and the sorrow and the grief that I've experienced over that time. Now, that said, I'm not actually a sad person in myself, but it's something that I needed to talk about because a lot of women my age feel this and at times feel invisible. So the frock started about 3 years ago. It's one of my frocks. I have this, since I've been a young girl, I've had this thing about wearing white frocks, and I've not quite unpacked that yet. So this is an old one that I made, and I began with a trauma. So when I was 17 years old, I had a cesarean section. And that really affected the way that I viewed my body and being female and my sexuality. So it's the first trauma. And it sat like that for a year because I actually didn't know how to explain those feelings and where it was going. But after a year and COVID and being isolated for 6 weeks, I started to stitch. So what this is it's a type of memoir, but rather than focusing on individual experiences, I've tried to focus on the emotions of particular periods in my life. So sometimes when I've felt happy, when I felt sad, when I've had problems, issues, and so that's what all the patches and applique pieces are. Some I've stitched directly onto the fabric because I've gone with what the mood takes me, and some pieces I've worked independently and then patched them on. The poetry is from the first poem that I discussed. The different colours, I've used seed stitches and French knots and faded it into the different colours to reflect those emotions. It's unfinished because I'm not quite ready to go to my demise. At first it was just memoir and I was reflecting on my experiences, but as I really got into it, I started to realise that this was about my life, and it was something I might like to explore about. Maybe I'll wear it when I die and I'm buried or cremated, or maybe it'll go to the party without me. So, yeah, that's me.